The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Thank you so much, Kevin. So glad to be here and so good to see you again.
I know. We were just chatting off air there, and I can't believe that we're actually meeting physically in person for the event that's taking place, the Awake and Aware event in Manchester in the UK in March.
In March, I know. That's just a couple of months away, and that let's not think about that yet because that's scary sometimes. as people don't always see that side of us, as presenters, that can be nervous, can't it?
Oh my God, we were just speaking about that, weren't we? I was saying to you how nervous I am. Well, kind of nervous because I'm not, I'm trying not to read too much on the law of attraction because that's the talk I'm going to be giving soon at the event. And I'm like, well, they asked me which, what I want to choose to talk about. And that's what came through, like a download, which you have these downloads you have these downloads a lot, don't you, as well? So you know what I'm on about. You just receive the message, don't you? You just know that's what they want you to talk about. So yeah, it is. Yeah, there is a nervous side right now in that respect, but it will all is well. All is well. What's the worst that can happen? It all goes wrong. That's the worst.
Yeah, but it never does. It won't. It won't because it's always, especially for a channeler. My gosh, all you have to do, just let them come in. They take over. They always do.
They do. Yeah, no, it's true. And there's always that part of me, because I've got that doubting Thomas part sometimes, which is, I guess, a good part to have, where you always think, am I making it up? Is that coming from my imagination? Well, what a great, loving imagination it is, right? Better than my normal imagination. But I know it's deeper than that. I've actually, this has happened to me. I've actually brought your mum through as well. She came through, which was, I don't know if it was unexpected or not, really. I don't know. It was... Again, even when Dolores was coming through, I thought, God, is it really? Is this really happening? Do I just want to, believe that's Dolores? But what she had to say was actually really interesting. So I think it was her, actually. You know that? I think it was.
Well, that's where you just have to look at it. Does it sound like her? Does it resonate? And that's where I'm trying to get people to, because I did a show actually on this, but so many people say they're channeling her or they're getting messages from her, and it's like, but look at it. Are those words that she would actually say? Are those things, and really dissect it, because so many of the things that people were saying were her. There's no way. I just,
right.
No.
Yeah. It's a funny old thing, isn't it? It is a funny old thing. Is that an aspect of her coming through? Is that why it sounded a bit disfamiliar? Or is it? What did she say? This was a book that I'm trying to bring forward, but I can't. I don't think it was information that she was bringing through. It was more of a kind of a discussion on where the reader was in the book, and kind of reality in a sense. I don't know. I can't remember, and we haven't even got that far in the translating of it yet, or the in editing it yet. We're still on the second chapter because I've been bringing through Edgar Cayce, and the way that Edgar Cayce talks is all this oldie language, and we're having to try just to change a few things just to make it fit a bit better, to make it easier to read.
I bet that's fun.
Well, you know what was a bit of an aha moment for me was that looking at the old Edgar Cayce quotes on the ARE website, and seeing how he talks, and you look at it and you think, that what the hell, you've really got to go into it and want to decode it, because it's almost like Edgar Cayce made it that difficult to decode it so that there wasn't any addictions to his teachings, even though that does happen quite often. Well, that's the way I'm making sense of it, and it's made it easier for me to understand. Well, actually, you know what? This really could be an aspect of Cayce, and if that's the way he talks, then that would make sense. So, just these aha moments sometimes that come and you're like,
right.
Okay, maybe you're on the right track.
And I just got something, well, just as you were saying, because like different things have come into me, like different beings or whatever, and they all, and this is completely going off of whatever, what we intended to talk about. I love how this go when this happens. And I know this is, I'm sure this is what you feel. This is kind of where I'm going with this, but you feel different. It's like different vibrations or different. It's like a personality. Do you feel that? It's hard to explain. That comes with it, and that's where that could be also what you're trying to. It's like you're trying to identify it. It's like, and that could be where that comes in. It's like, I think that's who this is, and maybe sometimes it's just, it's a frequency. It's a,
That's so true. That's so actually true. That is that when your mother came through, actually, I wanted to take on her personality a little bit. That was a weird thing. But the way that I've seen my channeling different to the rest is that I'm trying to teach people that actually you don't need to take on the personality. Actually, really what comes through is your higher self. Really, when I connect to Dolores or connect to Cayce, really it's just an aspect of my higher self coming through. Even though I was thinking about this the other day, walking down the street, I was thinking actually, okay, so if Dolores is there and Edgar Cayce is there, and then the other people are on that, they call themselves, the group is called The One, and these are aspects of this group called The One. Now, the funny thing was, you can't make this up, right, was I had a young lady who's going to be on my channeling documentary contact me from Australia 2 years ago, who said, I've just seen one of your vlogs that you did, and you're channeling The One. I just want to let you know that I've been channeling The One as well, and that you're not losing the plot, and that this has been happening to me. And when she said that to me, I was like, oh my God, there's someone else that's come forward that's doing the same name. How could you make that up? Unless she watched my vlog and just wanted to copy me. But no, it wasn't that at all. She was being beautiful. We Skyped each other, we saw each other's face, do you know what I mean? So after we communicated, so yeah.
Okay, now I knew nothing of this. Okay, I just want to say this beforehand. I knew nothing of this. Before you said that, I was thinking, well, we're all one anyway. So.
Yes, that's so true. That's so true. And when you look at it from that perspective, absolutely. And I mean, the difference is I actually knew your mother a little bit, tiny little bit, and she was always so very kind to me. And I had a lot of love from her, and a lot of love to her as well. I mean.
You.
Yeah, well, we kind of bumped into each other by mistake. Well, nothing's by mistake, is it? But we, through a talk show and everything else, and yeah, I do feel, and maybe that's why I could bring her through. But it's not like I do it regularly. This was just for a couple of chapters of the book, and that was it. That was it. Nothing more. That was it. And it was all sorts of other beings coming through for this book, and I talk about this book a lot in the interviews. I'm sure everyone's sick to death of me talking about it because but. And I'm not doing it from a sales gimmick, so that when it comes out, it's just that I know I've got to get it finished off, and it's just the experience that I had changed my life. It changed my, at a time when I had nothing. I'd landed on the bare bones of my backside. My relationship had gone. My talk show had gone. Everything was just disappearing. Well, my talk show on that bigger scale that I had, and it was then through that time that the connection happened, and it changed me. And then I was able to come up with my own truth. Then my own truth of what I thought this reality was, based on that information coming through.
That's usually when those things happen. That's why we tend to lose everything. And this is an important piece of information here. So if people have lost everything, or are in process of losing things, and I happen to have a family member that has just had that happen. Anyway, that's usually what's happening right there. And I had it happen in my own life, where everything was gone, and you're just, your whole world is just turned upside down, and you're going, oh my gosh, what's going on? But when you can get to the other side of it, and you get down the road a little ways, you're able to look back and you see what happened, your transformation. You'll look back at that time and you'll realize that was the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Now, the actual event may not have been wonderful, but what happened to you was so fantastic. If you will actually allow yourself to go through that process and do it open-mindedly and go through it, because it's a transformation. It's for a reason, like you said, it's to shed all this other stuff, and it's to move in a whole other direction. It's your higher self saying, go. You got to leave this world and move in another direction. Do something else. It's for a reason. It doesn't do this stuff willy-nilly. It's a drastic move that you have to make. And when it gets to that point, and that you have, but if things like that are happening, this is major. And you're going, yeah, I know it's major, but it's like, but just move through it, and it's going to be fine. Out there, anybody going through that, I promise you, it is going to be fine. In fact, it's going to be so wonderful. So wonderful.
Well, let me just add to that. I'll just add to that, right? When with my hands behind my back and doubting Thomas with me fully incarnated right now, I went through on that journey. And what happened was, over the past few years, I got into interviewing a lot more channelers, and I tell you what, I met some of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life came my way, and I couldn't have wanted more than these people. And even though I was still going through a lot myself, right, a lot of pain, a lot of everything else, things were always shifting. These people that I met and I continue to meet, and to do this talk show and to be in the presence of people like yourselves every day, I took it for granted before, and I understand now. I bump into spiritual people and they're like, God, the energy that I emanate is because of the people that I've met along this path. And I understand that they would love to have the people that I'm in contact with all the time. And I think I'm going to meet someone through this path. Do you know that? I think that I'm about to do a channeling documentary, which I'm really pumped up about. And I think there's people I'm going to bump into. I think it's not about the money for it, because there's no money for the documentary as such, right? Except for, I know in the times that we live in right now, it's so needed. You just got to switch the TV on right now. Who needs CNN? It's on everywhere else, right? There's my channeling always talked about. There's a massive shift taking place, and there's much more to come. Not in a negative way, because it doesn't talk negative. But
no, nothing like that.
There is a shift.
Everything is moving.
Yes.
And, gosh,
yes.
It's beautiful.
But we need to come together. The spiritual community needs to come together more. If it told me about that, I'm going to bring channels together. Well, I kind of ignore that. I was like, yeah, whatever, right? But if I just look at this tiny documentary, yes, I can see that. And the people that I've got on there, because we're mixing younger channelers with older channelers, and then bigger name people in the industry to do pieces to camera. But it's to show that anyone can channel, anyone can bring the information through. We're talking about connecting with your higher self. All answers lie within. You don't need to see a psychic. It's a good thing to see a psychic. It's okay to see a psychic. What I'm saying is, if you really want to, you can just go into a deep meditative state, or quiet or lower level meditative state, and speak to that greater part. That's what the part that Dolores used to bring out in people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what she was doing. That's what QHHT does, it just shows you how to connect with that part of yourself. That's all it's doing. It shows you that all answers lie within. It teaches you how to connect with your higher self, with your own higher self, because that's what they've been telling me for quite a while. It's like that it's stop going outside of ourselves. We have to go within, and that was just a way to teach us how to do that. We all, in fact, I think it was a couple of years ago, they said we need to all become our own channelers.
That's so true. That's so true. That's so true. And I think everyone channels, but then again, that's just a word. It's just a word. You can get rid of that word. You get rid of the word God and use the word source. You can use a different word for it. But I think everyone does. And I've met some amazing people on this journey that don't even know they're receiving, yet they are, but they're open to the idea that they are. That's the beautiful thing. And they're doing some amazing things. I say to people, and I always say this like a broken record, especially in the times that we live in now, because we're going through a great shift. We can all see that. When you do what you love, when you live your passion, that's what changes the world, because you change yourself. You work on your internal issues.
Yes. And that has been the biggest message of Mom's work when she was talking about the waves and everything, the 3 waves and all that. And then these waves were like, well, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing? That's it. Just, you're here. You're here to bring this energy in. And that brings the light in. Okay. And then like, well, I need to be doing something. Just do your passion. Just do whatever it is that brings you passion, because what does that do? That allows you to shine and bring more light, which is what helps everybody.
So true.
So, because you just need to be here. That's all you just need to be here, and then shine your light. And then, so bring your passion, just do your passion so you can shine brighter. Yeah. See, that's it.
Do you know what just came to me there? Do you know what? I'm so grateful of being in your company, but I wish I knew this truth when I knew your mother ages ago. I wish I knew this truth then. I didn't know. Do you know? I see a lot of interviewers, and I was one of them as well, that never put themselves into the interview, that never want to put their opinion in because they're too scared that then when people will say, well, this is not about you, this is about the guest. It's hang on, that's not the way I look at it anymore. I've stopped doing all that stuff now. I'm in the interview now. This is my interview show as well, as much as it is a space for the guest. Yeah, and I think if you don't put your truth in there, you're not showing transparency or nothing. And I see a lot of interviewers, and everyone's at their own pace, and I'm not judging anyone, but I'm just saying there maybe is another way to do this where we all share our truth. We've all got truth, with whatever we do, whatever passion. I was interviewing Jim Mars yesterday, and I gave him the interview, a spiritual interview that he never had, and it was so lovely what he had to say. But there's so many people like him who have such great spiritual truths, but it's always, the facts and everything else, which is, I know it's a way for people to get into the subjects, but the consciousness aspect, I'm guessing that's what I'm saying, is the deepest, most fulfilling, most sacred part of all these interviews for me. Yeah. It's the answer.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and there again, it's like, it's your show, and what is it you want to put out there? That's how we do our conferences. Some people say, well, you need to have all the different kinds out there, so that way you're putting, you're exposing people to everything. And it's like, and we said, well, wait a minute, it's our conference. We want to have positive out there, so that's what we put out there. We don't feel like we have to have negative out there. So, why would we want to put fear and negativity out?
Well, there's enough of that, isn't there? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that, I used to be very heavily into conspiracy, not at all interested anymore, because it's never the answer. Yeah, it's great to raise awareness. That's good. Of course it is, But where's the answer? I think spirituality gives the answer, where it's you. You were the answer you were looking for.
Bingo. Yeah. Absolutely. If we're creating our own reality,
right,
and thoughts create things, and words and thoughts create things, then why would we want to put thoughts and words out there that are going to create other than what it is that we want.
That's so true. And that we create a reality. Seth said that years ago, back with Jane Roberts. And that was in Jane Roberts' flat as well. The 3 words, you create your reality. And I've got to say that's true because I can't say too much really, but there was someone that I was thinking of who was on my mind a bit, and should I not? Is this the right person for this or not? And then they would contact us, and just everything fell in place. And this is not someone from the country I live in. What my point is that when you think of it, it becomes into reality. It's so straightforward. But yet, though, you see, the problem with me, I'll tell you what the problem is I've realised that I don't always believe that I can succeed. I haven't had the faith in me that I deserve to succeed, and that's what's put me off from, if I'm talking about money, like I've not always had enough to survive, and that's what's caused all those issues. So now in 2017, I'm ready to now be honest and say, I'm the block. I may have the energy to want to put out to think about someone, but will I think about myself enough? Where's me in all that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where now it's okay. Yeah, exactly. I'm the one here doing everything.
Yeah.
And you realize you're the pivotal point in all of it.
Yeah.
You're the creator, you're the pivotal point, and then you control this up here and this.
So true. So true. And I've covered
everything's
lots of
shifting. So.
Oh God, it is. And another thing as well, we're doing this documentary and having to sort of look for the younger channelers as well to come on, not just the established ones. Oh my God, they're out there. My God, that's shocked me. This new generation, this new wave of younger people coming in is, I don't know if you've come across them, but I just have in my interviews as well. And it's amazing. They're out there, and God, it must be tough for them. It must be very tough for them at the same time, because what a reality to have wanted to choose to come into, to experience them. They must have been warned before they come down here.
Well, that would be, so what age are you, what age are you?
20, 21, 22, some of them.
So that's that third wave then, which they said, those are the ones to teach us. They're in, everything's done. And see, those are the ones that teach us our potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the energy of the older channelers, I don't think that's there anymore. This energy of changing or transforming their voice, their persona, and everything else, that doesn't exist with the new style of channeling. The new style of channeling is all coming from the higher self, and it's more of this self-responsibility where you don't need to take on the persona of someone else. You can actually take self-responsibility and say, okay, this is actually coming from me. This is my truth from my higher self, and we can all do this. And I think it's just a new paradigm of energy. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, speaking of that, they're telling me, they keep tapping me over here. There was one little piece I left out of that a while ago in the creation. When I said you have to monitor, it's this and the words and everything. Then there's another very, very vital piece in this whole thing is, you have to believe, okay, but then you have to trust. So just trust.
That's so important.
That it's just trust, okay?
That's the key, isn't it? That's the key.
Completely.
That's the key, because
it really is. Yeah. That's the vital key, actually. That's the vital key. Just trust that it's done, because you've done it. You put it out there. You believe it. Just trust it then, because that's where we usually is. When you start doubting, you're not trusting. Just trust it, and it's done.
Right. Thank you for adding that. That's probably the most important thing on top of all that we've just spoke about there. Because for anyone thinking, well, I can't do it. Well, you are the block. Remember that. Just trust what comes through. If you feel you're making it up, if it's coming from love, trust it. And it's like working on anything. You work on yourself and you'll be able to connect. Some are better than others, of course. We're all here for different reasons, but that doesn't stop you from. Some people say, I always listen to my gut feeling. Guess what, guys? That's the same thing as listening to as the higher self talking to you. It's all the same. There's no difference.
Absolutely.
No difference. And people who
Absolutely.
trust that.
It's just we call it different things. It doesn't matter what it's called. It could be your right toe. It doesn't matter. It's whatever. Yeah, don't worry about the names of it. It's the same thing.
Same thing, yeah, absolutely. Now that's one thing about your mother as well is in the last, maybe 5 years, 4 years of her life, she started to have her own downloads, which she never did before, because she was very much wanted to be the observer, didn't she? But she could have actually, just channeled it herself, but she didn't want that, did she?
No, she in fact they said early on when she started getting the material when the ETs were coming through. They said, well, we could just come through you, and she was like, no, that's okay. I prefer to be the observer and stay the objective reporter. That way I can just be objective about the whole thing. And they're like, okay, that's fine. If that's what you wish, we can keep doing it that way. And so that's how she kept it. And then as time kept going on, it was just really funny because she kept, when she wanted messages, either they would come through her clients, or it would just come through actually, if she needed a message, or then she would start asking me. She will ask them this and ask them that, and I'm like, well, wait, wait a minute, And then sometimes they'd start laughing, and they'd say, well, tell her to ask us, and that was beginning to be the precursor. And then she's like, well, that's not fair. She'd kind of get frustrated, and I'd say, well, they're saying you need to ask, and she'd go, fine, So,
oh, she's funny.
Then,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then that's when she started hearing them it was a little bit, and all of a sudden she come in one day. She came and she goes, oh, I think I heard something. Is that how it happens? I'm like, yeah, that's how it happens. It's little bitty at first,
incredible.
It's little tiny. It's so subtle. It's little bitty, and she'd get a little more, and that's how it happens.
It's incredible.
So,
Do you know the process that your mum would do, where she would take him down, which is the same procedure as what's taught in QHHT, and that QHHT is something that people can get the course on by going to your website as well. And she would take them down, and then she would be talking to their higher selves, and their higher selves would direct them to the past life, which is directly affecting the issues that they need to be working on right now. It would never go to a past life that it had no influence in the moment right now, in a sense. But then, am I right or wrong to say that then, with agreement with the patient, after the healing's taken place, that then Dolores would have her own questions for her books to ask the client or ask the higher self, direct to source?
well, no, they would bring it through. She wouldn't just start asking. It would just all of a sudden they might just start saying, well, they just pick up on something. They would just start.
Wow.
Well, they pick up on a subject that they may have started with a client that was halfway, in another city, halfway around the world, or something like that. Or this is back when she used to travel and do sessions. But let's say another client several months before had a similar situation. They would just pick right up on similar material. And so it'd just be, or somebody would just have it would just be some lifetimes would just be similar. So it would just vary, but they'll just pick up, and that's where she would just get some of her material. They would just pick up on a theme or another concept, and they go, okay, well, here we go. We're going to give you more on that concept, and they would do it. She never initiated it.
Wow.
It would only be if they brought it in. So,
what did that do for you to witness that again and again and again in all different parts of the world? It must have changed you just so much.
Oh, that's all of that. Every time, all those things are validation, and it's just, that was just my life. That was how I grew up. So many things by this point. This is just normal by this point. Because I guess I was weaned on Nostradamus, and other things. So, this is just a new normal. this is just wild. It's very cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, do you think? I mean, we were talking just back there that that we well, I think I mentioned that we've all got issues in a sense. We've all got things that we've come into this lifetime to work on. I know I have, and I'm trying to work on them. I really am. This year, I'm doing my best to work on them, and it's actually, I'm finding it quite easy to work on them because I'm just being honest with myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And trying to be transparent. Do you think, with all the work that you did with your mother, and you still do in a sense, is this helping? Is that been helping you to heal some deep wounds that you may have, that you maybe don't always talk about to everyone else, but they're there sometimes, issues that you just think, well, where's that come from? Why have I bloody got that bloody issue, that whatever it may be, that this work has helped you slowly, because it's an ongoing transformation, just just claw back at them and bring them to the surface and just slowly heal them and transform them maybe.
Well, absolutely, because that's what all of this is about. Is, like you said, it's about, one, being honest with yourself, and two, like you said, you have to look at everything, and things come up, and when they do, you have to be willing to, you look at it and then you release it. You have to. Because it's not about holding on to it and then and beating yourself up over it. It's about looking at it and learning from it, and then letting it go, forgiving yourself. Just what is it you wanted to learn from it, because it was there to learn. Because so much of the time we're holding on, and that's my life. I was holding on and beating myself up over that time. Like I said, when we have things that we lost everything, and I was still beating myself up over that time.
Wow.
That bad time in my life, and that we all have bad things that happen to us, and I was still punishing myself for some reason for that bad time. I guess because I didn't have this wonderful, pristine life or something. I don't know. We do. It's kind of weird what we do to ourselves, and so I had to start, keep working with myself to forgive and release those things. It was like, you know what? I already paid my dues. I already learned my lessons. I already did my stuff, and it's okay to let this go. And when I started doing that, everything in my life started changing. My body started changing. Everything responded.
Yeah.
Everything was beautiful, and it just starts moving and shifting, and it's about loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and like you said, being honest with yourself. And so, yeah, there's some deep, dark crevices in there that you may have to look at and dig in and stuff, but it's okay.
Yes, it is.
Nothing worse than what you may do to yourself, may have been doing to yourself, because I was hurting myself pretty bad.
Wow.
In fact, I was on a really bad road there a couple of years ago.
Yes.
But it was I had to get it out there where I could look at it so I could release it.
There's something different about you. Do you know, there's something different about you since the last time I interviewed. There's a different energy about you. I can't. Yeah, I mean, it's very upbeat. Yeah, there's just, I don't know. I think the last time we interviewed, and I'll link the interview down below, there was a lot of sorrow there. There was a lot of process that you were going through. I think there was. I personally, but now I don't know. It's just wow. Yeah, it's different. It's different. Yeah, in a great way.
Well, and I do know that I'm trying to think exactly. It's been within the last at least 2 months, maybe something like that. Something happened. It's like, and I've been, something happened. How do I even explain it? And I've just been more relaxed. So I don't even know what to even call it.
No. Well, that's okay.
And so it's just another thing that happened.
Yes.
So.
Yes, and it will continue to happen. I mean, we always get tested in life, don't we? I always say to people, life is it's like a hill where there's ups and downs. It can't always be up, and it's not always going to be down. And sometimes it's just nice and smooth. But this is the reality we've chosen to come in. And when it's not always easy, now what I'm going to do now, rather than smoking weed in Amsterdam when I'm completely isolated and feel so alone and everything else, I don't need to do that anymore. I'll just channel, right, and do things differently, yeah. So
Right.
so I'm just, for anyone that's out there listening to this, I hope we can can just inspire you to know that you just even meditate to go within, and it will really help you. It really will.
Yes, absolutely. Like we were talking about before starting the show, a little mantra or whatever, kind of like in a meditation I do before I do any talks, before I start a class, before I probably pretty much anything that I need to be on for. Because we do have a nervousness. I mean, any performer, anybody that does anything, they're nervous before going on. Even if it's something they've done a million times, there's still a nervousness that's there.
Yep.
Because there's something in you that thinks, oh my gosh, this is the time I'm going to forget everything. And even on the radio show that I do, just go listen to it. You'll hear my brain falls out of my head as soon as he says, okay, live. Something happens right then. And it does. It just falls right out. Yeah. And I'm blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know what that is. But anyway, there's this little thing that I say, and I don't know and it's part of that. Remember, it's what you think and what you say. But I know what to do and I do it. I know what to say and I say it. And so that is, it's a positive affirmation, yes, but it's also my words and my thoughts are creating my reality.
Right, so just listen to what Julie's got to say here, and just take that in for a minute. Thoughts are creating your reality. I can't say. The thing is, you can't. We're not here to convince anyone. We'd never do that. It's just we've both been through this process, and continue to go through it, and this is a big part of it. And you've got to have that right mindset. You really have. Because this universe is conscious and it responds to it. So even though you may put your thoughts on something else may come along that's different to what you thought it was going to be, but it's better for you. That's another thing as well. It's something, I've noticed that as well. There's always reasons why you're drawn to do things as well. That's when that process takes place. Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Most definitely. Wow, we've covered quite a bit there. Most definitely. The Convoluted Universe, Book 5. Now that's. Is there anything more after this book, do you think?
Oh yes, there is. You mean in the Convoluted series, or in general?
well, okay. Well, let's just stick with the Convoluted series just for now. Was there any other material that Dolores had that was never published?
She does have some more material, because she still has archives that we're still finding.
Wow.
Plus, I am working with the practitioners that she has taught. And I'm, so as they come up with material, because they have fantastic material. And so I'm working with them to see, about compiling some of their works with some of Mom's works and everything, and still putting that into some future books. So it'll continue the Convoluted Universe series. Oh,
I'm so glad you're doing that. I'm so glad for you that you were doing that, because I remember when we last spoke some time ago, you did, it wasn't in you to want to do that at that time. Do you know what I mean? There was, that was Mum's work, and, you want your own path. I'm so glad you're doing that, because all I can say is there's just books falling out the sky of information that's still to come through. And Dolores always thought that that's it now, didn't she? No more.
Oh, Mom, my goodness, she has her way of getting her way. She's gonna get her stuff in, and I'm just amazed at. these practitioners, I mean, what they're getting. It's just about, I don't know why I'm amazed, but it's just, I love it. The stories that come in, and it's like, oh my gosh, can I, if you'll let me have, if you'll get that to me, we can compile that with Mom's work and everything, and that'll be another convoluted book and stuff. So that's what I'm proposing out there. So yes.
Oh, I'm so glad for you that you're doing that. I really, really am glad that you're doing that, and that's come from, it's still come from you. It's still you wanting to pursue that, and I'm so glad that you're doing that. Mum is so happy that you're doing that, right? And
yeah, because it keeps it going. Because it's coming from her legacy. It's from her work, and it's the same type of work. It's the same thing. So it's where it's coming from.
It's beautiful. Her
students.
Yeah.
So it's from her students. So it carries it on. So it's beautiful.
Beautiful. There was a chapter in the Convoluted Universe Book 5, right? And just called I Am You. And that was a chapter that's in my book as well. And I was like, I've never seen this book. I was like, I did a chapter called I Am You. I'm sure I did. I know I did. Right. I can pretty much, know where that's coming from. I am you. That we're all one in a sense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. Yeah. Wow. There's actually, do you know what, the work I remember going for lunch with yourself and your mother, and she said, do you want to have your ear bent, your mind bent like a pretzel? I was like, yeah, go on, please. And she's like, all those people that you see in the background there, that's background people. And I was like, what? No way. But she's like, well, you're never going to go up to them, are you? You're never going to go physically in their presence and interact with them, are you? I was like, well, no, I never would do. And then she kind of explained, and I can't quite remember the theory of the background people, right? But it was the way she explained it. It was like, OMG, that's incredible that some of those people that we see in our background aren't actually as conscious or actually present as we are. They're not actually there in a sense.
I know, and it's like it's still kind of with my head.
Me too.
But if we get back to I still have to figure out ways to explain it to myself. But I guess if we get back to the concept that everything is an illusion, and we're creating it, and and we need filler.
Yep.
That's where it comes in.
Yeah.
And this is our backdrop. This is our scenery, and it also provides. I like in the Convoluted 5 where it added a little bit more. It also provides our drama, if we so need it.
Oh, right. Okay, that's interesting.
Some of us really love to create drama, don't we?
Oh, we do. Yes, some do. But don't you see that as that it's a test, isn't it? And it's how you react to it. And I think one way I react to drama nowadays is I try to come from love with whatever enters in my life. And some days I'll not every day at all, because I'm not perfect and I never will be. Right? I make loads of mistakes, but that's okay, I guess. I'm not trying to be honest about it.
Why we're here.
Well, yeah, I know. I know, exactly right. I try to say to myself, right, some days I say, how much did I come from love today? And I can actually say, hand on heart, there are some aspects in my days where actually there was something I did that came from love. And, that feels good. I think doing these subjects, covering these subjects, I've now fully committed my life this year to covering these subjects, because I moved to Amsterdam for a completely different reason. I moved there because I wanted to do something else that I hadn't fulfilled years ago, that I was going to make some money for, and then put the money back into these subjects. But it doesn't work like that. Life's got other plans. So what you think you're going to do sometimes is for a totally different reason. And why did I move there now when I look back at it? I guess it showed me I can be on my own. I can have the solitary confinement, and I can make it through, and I can learn to love myself just a tiny little bit to do that, and it's okay. And that when I do meet someone one day, I'll have a lot more of a loving care for that relationship, and I'll honor it more, and I'll, just be a better person for it. Does that, so what I'm saying, we all do things, not always the reason we think it is, but there's always something great for the soul to get out of it.
Yeah. And and they've always said, if you do your passion, money tends to follow. So don't worry about the money. Just don't ever make the money the object. Just do what you love to do. Make that your focus. Just love doing what you do. The money will just flow to you because you're putting your passion into it, and people will see that.
Yeah, now that's true. Now that's very true. I mean, in one sense. On the other hand, I'm like, all I ever have is enough just to survive, right? Which is okay. But I think, well, if I'm going to have a family one day, I've got to be able to provide and stuff, surely. I mean, it would provide, but surely there's got to be more than this. But then every time on that journey, every notch up, there's always something that always comes in to provide for you. And I think when you're living your passion, there'll be something that comes along that can hinge on to what you're doing to make that extra money you might have been looking for. So the universe brings it to you in a different way, in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is hard to sit here and say, oh yeah, I'll being, having this spiritual life, it just means like, living like a monk and, just, living day to day, mouth to mouth. And we don't have to live like that at all in this spiritual field. Charging for services is a normal thing, just knowing that you believe in yourself to succeed, that you can succeed. An issue that I have that I'm trying to fix right now, but I will do. This is the year I'm going to conquer that. Swear to God, no more waiting around to conquer that. And yeah, I suppose what I'm saying is, it's easy to hear you say it. When you're living it, it's a little bit difficult. But you know what, everything you say is right. That's why I guess I'm coming back to, it is right, and you've just got to have the trust, haven't you? Just got to have the trust.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say it if you didn't. So thank you for coming back to that. Yes, you just trust.
Yeah.
Trust that it's there.
Yeah.
And if you're only getting enough to get by, that means that's the message that you're putting out there.
So when are you going to change that message? When are you prepared to change that message for yourself and take self-responsibility that it was you in the beginning and it's you in the end? So you in this moment now can change it. So, Kevin, do you hear yourself?
Yeah, like I have more than enough. I have more. Oh my goodness, I have abundance. I have plenty. Oh my goodness.
That's so true. That's so true. Even though I'm saying it's so true, and I was like, resistance, but it's okay. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Now release all those blocks and all those.
Yeah, they can go away now. You've taught me well enough. I don't need it anymore. Well, do you know where this comes from as well? Past lives as a monk. The vow of chastity, the vow of poverty, and all these self-degrading vows, in a sense, that we bring in from past lives. And then I think, which goes into your mother's teachings as well, that some of these bloody past lives have a hold on us that we can fix as well by, QHHT can help us, or we can just go within and try to say, well, higher self, can you tell me what's blocking me and the reason why? Yeah.
And if you're ready to release them, because that's all. If you do have those vows, then you let them go. If you have taken vows, because definitely if you have taken vows in other lives, those are taken very seriously in those lives, and they do carry over. And so then you do want to release them. You need to release them.
Are you hearing the universe?
Yeah, so tear them up if you do not want to keep them anymore, because they pertain to those other lives. They don't really have relevance in this life. If they go with the other life, not this life. So tear up that contract, let it go.
Yeah, and that can be as well for people in our lives that are causing us issues as well. Maybe they've come back in to teach us things. I think, your mum's books always talked about karma, and the first chapter of, the Convoluted Universe, Book 5, is finishing karma,
right?
Which is a great
first
place.
Section. Yeah.
Powerful, isn't it?
Because karma, we're done with it now, and that's what it's like. Some people have come. They've just come in to finish it up. It's like. So that's where some people have things that look like karma, and that's what it is. It's just finishing that stuff up, because we're done with it. Because now we're on to this other. It's all about creating. So you have to get all that karma stuff out so you can create and be in all this wonderful energy and beautiful creation.
Your mother, gosh, her work was so in depth in some respects as well. It really did bend your mind like a pretzel. She was dead right there. When she talked about the new earth, and I know that was a big thing, and it still is now when people read the books, in a sense, that I could wake up tomorrow and the world may be in a different place because I've shifted to a different reality. Why are we, me and yourself, experiencing the reality that we're experiencing right now with all the political turmoil, the new Cold War and everything else, in a sense, where we could have experienced a more peaceful world? Are we here, do you think, me and you and others, for a reason to help this world and to help those that still left here to transition over to a better reality?
Well, actually, yeah, exactly. What it is we are in the new earth. It happened years ago that we are already here. And it's about understanding that it is our creation. They said a long time ago, you will see it when you believe it. We always say, well, I want to believe it, when I see it, then I'll believe it, it's that other way around. But it's like, no, you'll see it when you believe it. It's that's why I keep saying, you shift here, that's when your world shifts.
Right. So could I just take that a bit further? So basically, in your world, you're not your reality is maybe a bit different to other people's, in a sense, because you've shifted that reality into that new world where you're not ignoring the suffering of others, but
Right.
you've created a reality where it is different, and where as you're doing now, you're living your passion, you're living your positivity. So in a sense, could Mum have been describing it like that, where you're shifting your creation of your reality, in a sense?
Yes, absolutely. Because that's how it is for everyone. I mean, these other things are there. It's like they're big. Remember, it's their creation, and sometimes they're there to see, and it's to see. It's like, do I want that to be, or do I want to get drawn into it? Remember, it's that drama thing. Like we said, we're talking about the backdrop people. Sometimes we put those things there as entertainment, and I know that's not a very good way to call something like that, but it's all an illusion. It's all our creation. We create things to be there, to either get drawn into, for to pull us one way or the other. And it's like, if we get drawn into it emotionally, then that pulls us in that direction, into that 3D direction. And we can just as easily go into that realm. Or we go, you know what? I don't want that. I don't want that vibration. I don't want that world. And I choose to look this way, because I realize that I make my reality, and I choose my thoughts, and I choose what I'm doing. See, and it's a whole change. It's like, that's where you shift. That's when you realize that you're it changes the whole thing. And as soon as you do that, and you start not, you may be aware that it's over there, but you don't get emotionally invested in it. And that's the difference. You just don't get pulled into it, and you choose to focus on what you want. And then by doing that, you'll find, little by little, your world changes.
Yeah.
And that's what she was saying.
That's powerful. That's really, really powerful. And again, guys, that's just, how many chapters is this? There's at least 22 chapters in the Convoluted Universe, Book 5. I've read most of the other ones. And what I loved about the Convoluted Universe series was, it was Dolores asking the question to the patient responding. It was done so differently to any other books, right? And the information that used to come out, oh my God, it really was mind-blowing in some respects, even though probably we've heard it before in different lives, or when we go back home we'll know the truth. It was pretty incredible. One of the things that I've channeled as well is that when we go back home, to heaven or back home, whatever you want to personify it as, that we are allowed to keep our truth the way it is. We can go and learn new truths, but even the truth to the level that we go at is only one level of truth, and that there was infinitive levels above the level to go to, and that these levels above each other were all channeling each other down to bring their truth to each other, and then to increase their levels so they can go up to these higher levels. And when we say these levels, what it said to me was that the reality that we go to is just as real as this, or more real in a sense, if you can get that way. Maybe it's 4K, 8K, I don't know. It's it's just incredible. So, but what it also always said to me as well is that you're here right now, and the life that you've got right now is the most important one. You don't want to be stuck on where you're going to or where you've been as well. That this moment now is all that you have right now, even though time is happening all at once, and probably all lives are happening all at once, right? Right now, the moment now is so important.
Well, that's why you're focused on this one. That's why this focus is on this one. It's because this is the one that's important to this consciousness. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. This is the most important one, isn't it? But what I think, what your mother's work does, and by studying your mum's work as well, is it brings truths from those other realities into this one to make this reality even better, even happier, even more content, even more coming from love. That's what your mum's work did for me as well, and still does. So I think that's I'm not saying that not exploring those other realities isn't important. It is, but it's what you can bring into the moment now.
Well, that's what it was all about. That's the only reason she ever didn't, like she said, like you said a while ago, is the higher self. Its whole purpose is to look at other lives. I rather than call it past lives, I always just say other lives, because, like I said, time is simultaneous anyway. Is it only looks at lives that have something that's relevant to now. So that's all it's doing. It's going and it's pulling something that has something that means something to your life right now. Because it could go anywhere. I mean, and it's like, okay, because we've lived hundreds and hundreds of lives, so.
Right, it's so incredible, isn't it? The picture's just so vast. I think I remember your mum saying that as well, just how vast the picture was, even to her. And she's an inspiration. She was such an inspiration to people of her age group as well, that life doesn't have to stop at 60, 70, 80. It can go on and on and on. She was an example of living your passion to an older generation as well. And I always say it to my parents. I mean, I do a bit naughty sometimes. I'm like, look what Dolores did. If she can do that, you can do that. Do you know what I mean? Look at the inspiration. She loved it, didn't she? And there was, in one respect, there was nothing different about Dolores to other people. So, and Dolores would have said the same thing. But it's just that she was an example of what is possible when you do live your passion. Right,
absolutely. She was just doing her thing, and she just wanted to share it with people. And then that's what it just. Yeah. What you see is what happened from that. Yeah. She was doing her passion and she shared it.
Yeah, that's exactly, and she's doing it now. She's over there. Well, I say over there. It's not even probably over there, is it? It's probably here.
She's here.
Yeah, in this reality, but in a different frequency that we do not understand. That there's not a science to yet. And right. she's doing her thing, and I mean, I think she'd be okay with me saying that even with all the work that she did, maybe even that was touching the surface, and the real reality of it is even greater. Maybe.
Probably. You're probably so right. I bet we don't even have a clue.
That's the thing, isn't it? But the way she brought the information in was a clue. It did make sense in the reality in the existence that we're in now. But maybe actually the picture's even bigger than that. We're not supposed to know. Maybe. Yeah. Now.
That's exciting.
I know, right? I know. Well, you know what? Do you know what keeps me going right now? I think I love this. I love what we have right now. I don't like the editing or all the other rest of the bits, but I love this, and I understand I've got to do the rest, right? I think it's the exploration of consciousness, that it's the leap forward into world peace. It's the leap forward into peace within ourselves. It's the leap forward into being a better me, a better you, a better us. That's what because nothing else really would fulfill me to come, to find those answers for that solution, in a sense. Not that we need to go out and find a solution, but it would be nice to share this message with more people and bring some balance into their lives from the truth that we've discovered as well.
Absolutely, because we all do, and I think people are out there so much searching, and they don't, it's just all right within. All they have to do is just calm down and just go within. It's right there.
Good. I'm glad you're ending on that, because that's such an important thing to say. It really is. Now, just to remind us, for those in the UK, so you're coming over in March, so can people attend a QHHT class in person with you as well in the UK?
Yes, I'll be doing classes around like before and after. I think, I'll be afterwards, after the talk in Manchester as well, and it's right there in Manchester as well. So,
right.
Without looking up, they can look on the website to get the exact date. But I'll be doing a level 1 and a level 2.
Okay, so that's the DoloresCannon.com website.
Yeah, DoloresCannon.com as well as QHHTofficial.com.
That's
Either
the
one
website.
has everything. Mm-hmm.
QHHT official. Sorry, I couldn't remember it there. Right? Yeah. Okay. Well, we've been putting both those websites on the screen throughout the interview, along with Mum's new book, and of course some of her prior books as well, because there was lots and lots of interesting books as well that she did. So a lot, actually, more than we're going to be able to put on screen. And I hope we've, look, I feel a little bit that I've not done the new book too much justice, only because there's so much information involved in here, and I'm telling you now, there's so much good stuff in these chapters, even from the perspective of a new understanding of God to reality creation, and so much more, and obviously your previous books as well. What you probably answered this. I just want to ask you one more time. What would you say is the most important message of your work and your mother's work as well?
Oh, that we are so much greater than we think we are. We are great and powerful beings, and like I said before, just you have all the answers right here within. And like I said, it's time to be our own channels, and just go within and trust. Just trust yourself. Trust, because it's right there.
Well, that's so true. All I'm going to say, until next time, Julia Cannon, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.